Very good afternoon, folks. So I'm down at Crossness and I'm just going to tell you about the parking situation, because every time I post from here, people ask, where's the best place to park? Because they want to visit for the first time. And it is a bit complicated. You used to be able to park on the Norman Road over there, and then the construction of the plant moved in, put all yellow lines up, so can't do it. Over by the Travel Lodge, sorry for the people I've been mistakenly telling, it's a Premier Inn. It's not, it's a Travel Lodge car park, and there's a pub, brewery pub there as well. Lidl, Starbucks drive-through. I still can't get my head around that concept. Parking here, there are no parking restrictions for now. I don't know when they'll start charging for that, but I think it's because there's no stations nearby, so people aren't leaving their cars here. You walk through this very horrible grotty cut in the bushes or trees, and yeah, when it gets wet, there's mud and there's lots of litter. It's horrible. It's gas bottles and beer bottles and who knows what else is in there. If you don't want to walk through there, you can walk around the pavement around the outside of the pub, and then it gets you to this crossing. Walk over the two sets of lights to the kissing gate here, and then this is just footage from my previous trips over the last couple of weeks. If I only see one or two things, then I include them in a sort of compilation vlog. Coming in the kissing gate a few days ago was a grey heron in the park. It's usually down there. When I come round, I'm always flushing it. It's always down there doing something. Usually there's a bit of water collected in a puddle, and that flew off. And then when I got round to this point, buzzard in the air. I mean, it was a bit of a horrible whiteout sky. Oh, there it is, there again. And it's just landed in the tree. So I'm going to cut and just see if I can get video of it. It's a resident here. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my bag on the tripod to steady it, and then we can film in real time. Right, I think it's still there. I get my 4K crop on it. Hat up because of the dot sight. Just in time for it taking off. Yeah, it gave out a little call. We'll see if that gets picked up by the camera. But when I came here the other day, and you saw that horrible flight, I just took the video of it flying against the whiteout sky for some just record stuff, just to say what I'd seen. And then it landed, so I'm just going to collapse my selfie stick. It wasn't as good light as this last time, but the buzzard was in the tree, and I only got I filmed for about 2 minutes using my tripod, but there are a couple of resident buzzards, crows going over. But yeah, set it up it was over there on one of the trees. It likes to land on those trees. And yeah, I'll just film a bit of Crossness for you. I'm just walking up, this is the field. It's got 3 horses in it, so if you come here, don't be afraid, they're pretty cool. If you start walking towards them, they might get a bit jittery, but sometimes I've been standing filming a vlog and they'll walk over to me. Just checking the posts for wheat ears and wind chats, because this is where they'll usually be. Just over there on the way back to the cab the other night, trying to outrun the rain, I saw my first wheat ear of the autumn here anyway. And last year I checked, it just came up in my feed. I think it was like I think I filmed the wheat ear on the, sorry, I'll show you my friend. See, they're okay. And the other 2 are over there. Last night when I left, they were against that tree trying to get out of the rain. The other 2 over there. So it's nice to be able to walk in a field where it's not cordoned off from people. You can actually walk amongst the horses. But anyway, so back to the wheat ear. I think I filmed it on the 5th of September, and last year a female wheat ear on the 4th. So this will be something I'll be doing over the years, is making notes of when things appear, which part of the reserve, because they obviously like to come back to the same spot. Over there is good for, I got like a returning wind chat, one of the posts there. The wheat ear is on this one, and I believe the red starts have been spotted here as well at some point. But no, it's been very quiet so far. Everywhere's quiet. Elmley's very quiet. I was going to consider going today or to Dungeness, but the wind is really, really strong. So we're just getting to the kissing gate in the middle of Norman Road. I might as well do a kind of a walkthrough for you, because you might not know how the system works here. So yeah, you walk across Norman Road field, go through 2 kissing gates. Let me see if I can balance that somehow and do this blind. No, there it is. Don't slam it and scare the horses. Little map of the reserve there. And then we're just gonna walk up this. If you come through here, especially when it's been raining, you're gonna need wellies and definitely trousers, nettles and all sorts of brambles covering the path. It does often get cut back, but it grows very quickly. So I believe this is the only bench on the reserve. So you could bring a picnic here, which I've seen happen. Just come here and chill out. I've seen people just come here and have a little smoke or picnic or do some drawing or some note taking. Just coming out to the top of the path. Little dipping pond here with a walkway. Only thing I ever really see in there is a moorhen. I think there's been a report maybe once or twice of a water rail, but I've never heard it. I've heard water rail over in the protected area, which I'll show you when I walk past. So we're just gonna, you get to the top of the path here, you come around here. We're just gonna show you the first viewing screen. And there are often things in here you don't get elsewhere, like the common pochard, which you normally get over at Southmere Lake in Thamesmead, which is sort of the southern section of this reserve. So this is the first view screen. And because the sun's always on that side, everything's usually backlit. It never makes for good photography. So if you're basically, you just come here to boost up a list. So looking through there, coots and moorhens, and right at the back, there'll probably be some tufted duck. Might be a shoveler, might be a mallard. In this area, the wheatear do land. I've got many, many photos over the years of wheatear jumping around all the railings and the barriers and the posts. And then, yeah, there's the horse up there. In this horse field, meadow pipits, wheatears, windchats. And that tree over, there's a tree at the far end on the left where we had the last common redstart. We're just going into the horse stables. And this is where we had several months ago a black redstart pair providing me my best ever photos and lots of video footage. And all the gates are open, so the horses are out somewhere. And I asked the person that owns the horses in the property, I said, are we allowed to walk around here? And they said, as long as there are no horses in this field to spook them, then you're cool if the gate is open. So if you come here and there are no, just spooked a grey heron, flushed a grey heron. Yeah, if there are no horses here to spook, then you can come in here and have a look. But sometimes this is where you'll get the red starts if they are here, which you might get once to twice a year. Now we're just going onto the main driveway up to the protected area where vehicles can be driven by authorised personnel only. You can't just drive up here, the gates are locked. And this particular spot here is good for goldfinch and linnets. I had a couple of linnets in some very windy conditions just here one day. And footage I don't think I've uploaded yet. I'm just turning around so my back is against the wind. I'm learning better with my microphone. If I can not have it pointing at the wind, it helps. So I'm trying to, yeah. So I get onto the linnet that was there. It sat there for about 3 minutes. No wind that day. I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I just pointed my camera at it and filmed. Like I said, if I get any birds sit still for long periods and there's no wind, I'll get some nice stock footage for my library, which in the future, if I'm doing any kind of bird news or any other projects where I need some footage or photos of a bird to talk about it, then I can just access my library worth, you know, hundreds of gigabytes worth of data. Just approaching the second view screen area. It's a shame this has changed a lot. Through here, this used to get really flooded and was good for green sandpipers and little ring plovers. And then, I don't know, they just never filled again with water. I don't know if it was never allowed to. They didn't manage the grass or the crop. They just let it grow. Because now they have put horses in there. So I'll just turn you around to show you what I'm looking at. And let's give it. So let's turn the camera around. So they've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 odd horses in there. But yeah, this used to get flooded, no water in there at all. Obviously, it's been a very dry summer. And right in front of us, like 20 feet away, there would be little ring plover and green sandpiper. And we're just coming to the bridge over the Great Breach Lagoon. Say that too quickly, it doesn't come out right. But very good for little grebes, tufted ducks, water vole, and all the trees along here provide long-tailed tits, chiff-chaffs, robins, blackbirds, missel thrush, redwing when they're here in the winter. Loads of Chetty's warblers, you hear them, you don't see them. I have managed a few photos. And over here is the protected area, which you need a 4-digit code to access for members only. And it seems to be once every sort of 6 months to a year, somebody breaks in. Somebody even broke in with a motorcycle and did wheelies and skids inside the hide, messed up the floor. It's like, you know, it's all the places you can go and take a bike. Why? So they've had to have come here, mucked around with the numbers to figure out the code, and eventually got in. I mean, it's whatever. I'm not going to get into that. It's going up the little hill from the last bit of the reserve onto the Thames path. And this mural that's been here, I really thought when I saw it, it would last 2 days and it would be graffitied, considering what they do to the protected area, the little hoodlums. And this hasn't been touched. Bravo. I'll give you some credit. Not a scratch, not a bit of paint, nothing. Sorry about the noise. We're in the, for those of you that don't know, we're in the flight path of the city airport. Now along here, the last couple of visits have been great for, I'll say I got my first willow warbler of the autumn down here, several seconds worth of semi-usable video. I'll go into a library, anything of those particular birds I'll keep. With it, a reed warbler, they're still here, they breed down in those reeds there, keep you out of the sun. Got some great footage and photos of them over the years. And they're in the tree with the willow warbler and hunting along here. I got some yesterday, along with some chiff-chaffs. They were hunting in these, coming in and out of the railings. I had to sit patiently, hit and record, manually focusing to catch them. And then the light was terrible, but with my dot sight, which I'll be doing a video of today, hopefully, because I've got enough light for it to show it off at its best. There were these long-tailed tits, a big flock of birds. I think there was the willow warbler was in there, the chiff-chaff. They were flying from the bushes on one side of the Thames path to the other. And I thought, wow, little birds coming out the tree, I have to be quick. You could not do this without a dot sight. None of these are very close. The light was terrible, and I only had a few opportunities to take them, but you can see the potential with the right light and getting in a little closer. You could get flight shots of things like long-tailed tits. I cleaned them up as best I could. I won't be keeping those. They're just used for the video. They've just come to the middle section on the Thames path. I think it's mostly black-headed gull, teal, red shank, black-tailed godwit. I can hear the little noise of the black-tailed godwit. And look for anything unusual. It probably won't be. Yeah, just teal. If it's unusual gull, like a Franklin's or a little gull or anything like that, I'm not going to spot it. I'll need somebody still to tell me what that is. But yeah, none of the male teal have got their breeding plumage yet. It's all in eclipse. You can hear the redshank. You know the redshank? Yeah, there's a lot of redshank here with their legs all muddy and beaks muddy. So people who come in might think, oh, some sort of, I don't know, sandpiper or something different other than a redshank, unless yellow legs or something exotic. But no, they're just, because of the mud, they've covered all their red up. Filmed this black-tailed godwit. Sometimes, like I said, if I've got a layup shot, I'll film it. It was just going around in the mud, picking off worms. That, you know, it's amazing. It'd be nice to know how the beak works. They can obviously see where there's going to be a worm based on something on the surface of the mud. Put their beak in, pull it up, and there's a couple that they're obviously fighting back. And it takes the worm over to the closest bit of water, little puddle, and just rinses it out before it swallows it. But there's a mixture of full-on breeding plumage and non-breeding plumage. And I got a nice photo yesterday, here it is, of a non-breeding plumage or in between flying using the dot sight. But I like one of the really nice brown and bronze ones. All right, let's move to the outflow. Right, so we're at the outflow and there's a willow warbler just landed right in front of me. Too quick. There's another one. There's, yeah, in here where the water comes out, good for chiffchaffs and Chetty's warblers. Sorry, speaking up a bit because of the aircraft. But at the moment, I did see a sandpiper, common sandpiper, fly out of the reeds onto the edge of the river. Now, I'll show you that yesterday was yesterday? I think 2 days ago, I got a flock of about, I think 5 or 6. So in years gone by, there's been 1 or 2. And I thought, am I count, when people say there's been 8 or 10 or 20, are they counting the same one twice? And now I've seen more than one together. They're flying out there. I've got my 4K crop on it. And then I've been using the dot sight to try and get them flying. Today's going to be good because the sunlight is really strong. I can use a low ISO. It's incredible the difference. The clouds are gone. It's been raining for like a day or so. Well, you can hear it. Yeah, that's the common, if you can hear that, that was the common sandpiper. And they did make that call when they're flying from one side to the other. In the outflow, good for grey wagtails, almost always in there. And I'll always keep a 4,000th of a second shutter speed ready for one coming out. I haven't got any good ones yet of them coming out. I've got the pied wagtails, as you've seen before. But there are no cormorants at the moment. I believe they wait for the water to get up a bit higher. The grey heron was just there's gone. Over there the other day, there was a ruff. We seem to get that as a visitor once or twice a year now. Comes for a few days on and off. Very distant. Had a cormorant catch a really big eel, and when they get them that size, I've always found they have to come out of the water, so they made its way over to the mud. No other usually when it's a smaller fish, the other cormorants will go after it and try and get it to drop it. But it left this one alone. It was too big. Came out and it dealt with it here, and you could see it was still wriggling as it was going down. The neck was moving around. It was crazy. And yeah, went over and took a drink. Hope get the water, help it slow down a bit easier. But that's gonna be wriggling in its stomach for ages. And I believe this was a couple of days ago, while the tide was in, there was a cormorant far out. And it's really weird because they seem to get these Dover soles, the flatfish. They seem to catch the big ones really far out. So if you're here, if you see something splashing around in the distance, it's usually a cormorant with a big fish. So I filmed this for ages. I knew it wasn't gonna be able to swallow it. Apparently I've been told that cormorants will grab any fish, even if it doesn't know that it won't be able to swallow it. It just grabs whatever it is. If it's there, it will take it. And it tried and tried and tried because they've got really expandable necks, but not in this case. And I filmed it on the off chance it would swallow it. It worked on it for ages. It took off. It actually flew up to the pier over there. I thought, okay, this will be great. It'll be out of the water. I can see what it's going to do with it. But it landed on the railing for a fraction of a second, and then it realized it wasn't going to be able to do that. And went down to the water again, where I watched it for another minute or so. And then I saw it flying away without the fish, and it must have just dropped him and forget this, I can't do it. And then treated to a nice common seal. I believe that's a common seal. Really nicely speckled, bluish, grayish. All the birds took off. Now that's the thing, if you're fumbling around on your phone or looking at something else and you hear commotion and all the birds, all of them, including the black-headed gulls and the cormorants go up, it's a seal. I wonder if the seals ever catch a bird. If I could film that, that would be mwah, solid gold for YouTube or my reels or my stories. They only got a few seconds of that before it went down, made its way across, and I could see it scaring off birds as it went along that way west. Got the dot sight out for the 20 minutes. There was a little bit of light left. It was just taking birds going by, like you saw the black-tailed godwit. I've got one of the grey herons with its beak open flying. And then the teal with the beautiful speculum, the green speculum on the wing, which the word I only learned recently by doing that identification vlog of the speculum, the supercilium, the alula, all those things. I've learned them all now. And I looked it up. What's the point of the speculum? And it's to help waterfowl identify other similar species when there's a flock of, say, gadwall, mallard, widgeon, things like that. They can identify their own species, because what happens is, I've got to do a video on this. Waterfowl the males go into an eclipse plumage, which is they lose their breeding plumage. So they look like the female, because I always wondered, where are all the males during a certain period of the year? And apparently they can't fly. Once they're molting, shedding these feathers, the breeding feathers, they can't fly. So the flying ones will be female. That's how you identify. I believe, I've got to read up on this. Somebody in the comments corrected me. Well, actually, So forgive me if I'm making a mistake here, but so far that's what I've got. And it's also for, obviously males in breeding plumage are great targets for raptors because they're so colourful. So while they're not flying, not able to fly, they'll shed that colourful plumage to make sure they're less easy to spot. It can also show things like how healthy the bird is. So for sexual attraction, the mates will see it's a healthy bird with iridescent, colourful feathers. So yeah, this is another day. Yes, change of clothing, everything's different. But it's been probably 4 or 5 different trips down here for this vlog. And what I do if I don't see much, I put it all together as a buffet. But I've shown you most of it. I mean, there's the golf course and the engines and the sewage treatment plant. I'll start overlaying. What shall I overlay? Yeah, first thing I saw today was the buzzard was being chased by crows. Slow-mo for that. They chased it right up. It went, I thought it might sort of come across the reserve, but it went higher and higher to get out of the way, and the crows looked a bit satisfied of their accomplishment of getting rid of it. I'll just throw this in briefly. I did this mostly for my stories, and like I said, anything that sits still long enough, I'll put my tripod on it if there's no wind. And there was some goldfinch on the teasels, I think that's what they're called. Just juveniles, there's big flocks of these juveniles all around the reserve, and I'll crop them for stories and things like that. It always looks good. Stories look really bad when they're shaky, so I've got to try and get tripod footage for that especially. And then keeping an eye out for wind chat and everything like that. Nothing, the reserve is very quiet. On the water, I'll throw this picture up, a couple of pictures of the grey heron. Grey herons, you know, nice and easy to get, but the trick is now to get something unusual. So I've got a really cropped in picture. Hopefully that'll clean up really nice what you're looking at right now. But then I spent ages and ages filming it. What it was doing, it was perched up on the right side of the outflow, really hassling the little egrets for the best feeding spot. And for 20 minutes I just filmed in slow-mo, and it was picking out loads of these little shrimp. The river is obviously very healthy. I've said this many times before. I've got a lot to delete. I'm going to have to chop up all the sort of dead space in between the clips and just show you loads and loads of the shrimp being eaten, some of them very big. I even tried some photography where when it picked the shrimp out of the water, lifted it up at the end of the beak and then threw it up in the air and trying to catch it midway along the beak with the mouth open. I think I got 1 or 2 usable photos. Whatever I got, I'll show you. Sorry about the noise, I'm by the construction site at the moment. But just keep looking at this footage, it's fantastic, it's great to watch. And the trick was, the hard point about filming this was the focusing, because you're such a shallow depth of field, you're trying to lock onto the bird's eye, and then I press a button to disengage the autofocus. Because if it's hunting around for the bird, when the bird sticks its head down to grab a shrimp, then it focuses on something in the back. So I'm trying to keep the line of focus where the eye is and hope that the bird, when it picks up a shrimp, goes back to that same plane of focus. I must say the little egret were getting very bold. They were getting a little bit too close, and the grey heron would occasionally just put its crest up, stick its wing up and scare them back. But they didn't all fly off. They held their ground, 4 or 5 of them. And when I usually get there, everything takes off. But after I've been there 10 minutes, I look down, there are common sandpiper, there are red shank, black-tailed godwit, several little egret, a couple of grey herons. It's just packed. And then grey wagtails start coming out of the outflow, which is where they love to feed. I tried for flight shots of those today. They were coming out, but I was fighting with the cloud going over the sun and then bright sunlight and then over the sun, bright sunlight, constantly changing my settings. And then it would land in shadow and then fly into the sunlight. It's just an absolute nightmare for manual photography settings. And the other day you saw the seal popped up a few times. All the birds go up. That's when you know there's a seal about. And when they did all go up, I was looking, I didn't see anything. And it would only show above the surface for maybe a few seconds. Normally they come up for about 15 or 20. And it came up maybe 2 or 3 times. So I don't know why it was only showing up briefly. I'm always hoping to catch them with a fish, because I got photos years ago with one eating one at the surface. I'd love to get video finally. It will happen one day. I've been seeing them literally on every trip now. So there's a good chance it's going to happen soon. I don't think there's much going to happen now between me and the cab. I'm on my way back. Hope you enjoyed the catch up of several different visits. It's been great. You don't have to go very far. The other day I went to see the red-footed falcon specifically for that bird. But unless something big pops up, I like to come here and practice my photography skills. Often it's not just about the bird. You've got to get your photography skills honed in with other birds. And also finding photography and video opportunities with ordinary birds like the grey herons, even pigeons, cormorants, mallards, teal. Get your skills and your reflexes and your muscle memory ready for when that good bird, rare bird pops up. Hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, leave comments, check out the podcast, etc. See you next time.